What's
Is
your
that
hate
lens
most?
cracked, or is that supposed to be like
You're
that?
correct, actually.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
fun.
that's correct.
That's a fun comment.
You got you there, bro.
That's fun.
This kid's cracked.
All right, yeah. So just
What was the question? I forgot it. I think it's changed a lot, more than probably any other gaming community, because most gaming communities just leave. When the game has run its course. Is that fucking...
Yeah, why are you
Shit.
smoking? What's happening?
You vaped on me, bro.
I didn't vape on you. The air blew it your way.
Okay, anyway, so most communities just leave and move on. You only have, like, degenerates that are typically, like, Team Fortress 2 and us, who have been around for, like, 15 years, except Valve actually gives a shit about this game. So, overall, I think that a little bit of the excitement has gone away from the community just because we're not getting a lot more people and it's become aged like a wine. Those people are just like, they've been around, they've seen people come, they don't really have too much else to say on the old talent or the old players, but there's been a revitalization with the new talent and players coming into the scene that makes it a little bit more exciting. But as far as how they've evolved, I think much like us, they've become old and disgruntled and depressed that they've wasted their lives on Dota 2, and they're fucking miserable, but I love that about them. I might be a little different than the rest of my boys here, but I do love the toxic assholes of the community. Whenever I go to a Reddit thread, I call it going gold mining. I go down the bottom where it has you have to click on it to unravel the good comments, and then I'd read that disgusting shit. And I go, ooh, there's gold in them comments right there. Sort by controversial. That's how I like to do it. So, I think all comments are good. Because even with assholes, they're at least saying something that's on their mind. They might be wrong, but it's good to see how stupid people think. So overall, it's just evolved much like us as people.
I told you he was gonna flame them and be like, but I'm that way too. We're alike.
We all like
classic.
Fuck off.
I'd say, for me, weirdly enough, I got, like, when I started doing the guides, they were posted on Reddit. That was when they blew up. And the Dota community noticed, and that's when people started posting about them. And that was the early days when the community was just really happy that Dota 2 was a thing, and that there were tournaments, and there were people making content about it, and it was, like, super excited. And then now it's super jaded, like super, super jaded, and it's just complaint threads, and their whole thing is, Valve reads Reddit, so if we complain, we're basically in charge of Dota now. That's how I think they think. So I am seriously worried that the future of esports will be decided by the most upvoted thread on Reddit. That's my concern.
Yeah.
I am used to being despised in every community that I'm ever mentioned in. So the E.GS community doesn't like me, the Dota community doesn't like me. So I'm just like, I persist regardless. So I see them as an enemy to be overcome and ignored.
I don't think they feel that
Oh,
way.
they do.
I mean, you only read the
Name the last time you saw a positive thread about me on any subreddit.
I see it all the time.
There was
You
a
don't.
comment.
If
on
you
a
saw by
thread.
controversial, you might.
Yeah, I do, actually. That's a good point.
Minus 50.
Minus 50.
downvotes.
I love
I really
Pyrion.
love PyrionFlax.
That's the only way you get there.
Oh, I like that. An enemy that is to be overcome and ignored.
I'm still here 10 years later,
Mike,
baby.
Get
Still
past
here.
them and leave them in.
It's working.
Every time you're on camera, you know that one guy, and it's like fucking Pyrion, and every time, every panel. So
He's got
Time
his
for the
copy
new
paste.
talent.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm the rare exception where no one really gives a shit if I'm there or not, right?
True.
Like,
What do you mean it's true? What's wrong with it? That's not true.
I forgot he was here in the
We
first
value
place.
you so much, T.
I love you.
It wasn't until we walked in this room together that I remembered he's
Holy
working
shit,
this
T
event.
was there? Watching the interview later, what did he say? I don't
No, I meant more like on Reddit and stuff, right?
Oh.
Like
Yes.
when I first done like talent work, at least after I was a coach, everyone was like, "Hype, a coach is doing talent." But like 2 years later, no one gives a
Yeah,
shit
they
what I
don't
did.
give a shit.
2 years ago, they don't care about what I was doing, and like now, if I check like a match thread or whatever or a thread, no one comments, which is great because I'm not annoying anyone, or probably am, and I'm not making anyone happy.
So
I'm just,
here's my thing, right? MLP and John.
Yeah.
This is like their first event,
Yeah.
right? First time they met up. Lots of love,
Yeah.
lots of threads saying it. I give it 2 fucking years, and then it's gonna be fucking MLP and John. Like that.
But that used to get me down. Not
Yeah.
having like even having hate or even having love, just having something to know that people like listen to you. It used to get me down. Not having anyone like put anything. But now it's like, surely it's a good thing. Because if
No
they,
comment is good.
yeah, no comment is
Just-
good. So that's great, and I'm happy to exist.
Cool.
I agree with most of what Ted has said. In fact, everything that Ted has said so far. I mean, I started off you started off with Reddit helping you.
No, for real.
You started off with Reddit hating you, but also helping you.
True.
There
You
were, he
started
got
off with
so
Reddit
much hate.
liking you.
Sure.
Yeah.
I started off with Reddit hating me.
Dude, I hated you, honestly. For like,
See,
a
he
good-
hated me.
For a good, like,
The interviewer
3
hated
years.
me.
What the
I didn't
fuck?
genuinely- Yes.
Why did you hate him?
I just thought you were like a bit annoying, and you didn't really add anything.
He
to the
didn't
panel.
turn up without a fucking working camera for this interview.
Okay,
by the
take
way.
it easy. Take it easy.
Insane. What's
And-
about
and you know
first
what?
impressions?
I'm letting you know. I'm letting you know.
Pyrion's idea of Reddit, the community is an enemy that is to be overcome and ignored. I took that mentality. I
Wow.
succeeded out of spite of the
I think-
community.
Wow.
So did you.
Oh,
No, I love. Dude,
No.
My whole thing has always been to find the craziest ones and get in with them. Because when you think
Yes.
about it, the psychos, those, if you can make them your allies, they'll dig in on anybody like that. There used to be this guy named
No.
Butlet. Fucking, this guy was
Oh, I
insane.
remember Butler.
Butler,
Yeah,
Buttles,
yeah.
he was a fucking nutcase. And you know, the first thing I did was try to be his friend. I sent him a friend request, and we played Dota games together, because if you can win over the crazies,
That was the same
they'll
thing.
destroy the other one. They'll destroy the haters.
Yes.
And you find the craziest haters, and you get them on your side to destroy, like, the medium haters.
and then what? You're just left with crazies
No,
all
but that's
around
what
you
Twitch-
That's
afterwards?
fine.
That's what Twitch chat's for. That's why you join the streams and then you get them on your side there. So
Absolutely.
then after hours, when they jump to Reddit, they're like, yeah, that T guy, he did join the copy pasta with me. I'm not going to shit on his day. Let's shit on Cap instead.
Yeah.
Do you know what I did?
Yeah,
Where-
fuck you, Reddit.
I
love
literally,
you,
Jesus.
I went out of my way to create a curated community
Yeah.
for when
That's
I
cool,
stream,
That's
yeah.
smart.
for my Discord, that I'm
Yes.
like, I can literally put a wall around this, and
Yes.
people can get in, but if they're dickheads, we throw them back out,
Yeah.
and then
At least
it's
they
like,
can get out.
you've got to be a chill, decent person, just be chill.
Yeah.
And that way you can partition off all the shit on the internet that I just can't
So
stand.
boring.
It's much easier
How do
now.
you
It's
grow
much-
as
no.
talent without people calling you, you know, being like,
The
"Here."
guys inside call me enough things. That's the thing. But they're funny.
He collected
It's
some
not
of the
just
crazies.
flame, it's
Yeah.
funny. You know what I
That
mean?
is true.
Reddit shit all over me when I started up, and then I just like decided that I was gonna succeed out of spite of them. And I said I basically would run home, like literally run home after join Dota, record, and I would see some hate thread. I would run home and I'd be like, you know what, fuck you guys. I'm gonna make you like me. And you know, like 2-3 years you're gonna come back. I used to hate you, but yeah, you know I love you. You're great. And you know, that I want all of you to know, every single one of you who's like, oh yeah, that's me. Fuck you. How about that?
Whoa,
Yeah, I
dang.
did it. I managed to make you like me, despite your fucking hate. You know, all the fucking, like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's a 2K, I'm a Markcaster. And then all of a sudden, you see some Reddit thread, oh, Cap hit 7K. And they're like, oh, wait, I like that guy now. He says smart things. This is the same fucking things I said at the start when you guys hated me, but all of a sudden, a big number, better person, and you guys all of a sudden jump in and be like, oh, I like what the things he says. So, yeah. I think I've had a love-hate relationship with
Do
Reddit.
not see Cap angry very often.
That was
Yeah, that was
passionate.
real.
That was passionate.
That was real. He's like a.
It
He's,
takes Reddit to get him angry.
my God, he's basically the American Psycho character. I mean, he never shows any emotion, but that
Bateman?
was real. That was Patrick Bateman.
Yeah, that was...
Listening to his music there. That was.
Yeah,
cool.
when you guys were talking, I was putting on the rain jacket.
I will admit though, when I started off, I did take Reddit thread comments, like really hateful ones, and I used to print them out and put them on my wall.
Oh, I've got a Google Drive with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I used to, when I was streaming, I'd look up and see them, and that would always be, like, I'd always laugh. I love them. I fucking love that degenerate, absolute garbage shit. It's so good.
You actually helped me a lot
Yeah.
and taught me a lot about dealing with that negative stuff. Because I've taken that on board now for my
Yeah.
stream. If someone comes into the chat and says something really unpleasant and flamey, we make a command out of it.
Right, right.
So people can just spam it. And it's like, some of them are genuinely very funny.
They're very
I mean,
funny.
I ban them. I ban whoever
Well,
says,
of course.
but we keep the comment.
Well,
you know?
of course,
Are
they
they
live
like
forever.
work-based or like personal? Are they
Oh,
coming
it
and
could be
attacking?
anything.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was like, at this major, I was screenshotting a couple of Twitch comments, which were like personally, like, why is your ear so fucked up, T? I'm like, screenshot that one. I'll take that one back home. Like, hey, look, hey, girlfriend, you like this one?
It's just,
My favorite flame that I ever got was when I ended up on the subreddit Punchable Faces. Back when I didn't have the beard and stuff like that, you know, I always, I know that I look like a douchey, you know? It's just the way it is. So that was actually my favorite bit of...
The beard was a great improvement.
Yeah, exactly.
All of it has been.
You know, I grew the MMR, put on a beard, you know, and all of a sudden the brand.
There we can hear this in the background.
No, but I mean, especially in the Dota community, which is inherently more toxic than most communities, like, it is part of being talent. Like, if you don't know how to take those hits and move with them, I mean, Shiver has been, like, fucking turned into a diamond. She is so hard. She can take any kind of anything. And it's something that have pushed a lot of people away, but, like, to be a Dota player, you gotta be fucked up. But to be a Dota talent, you have to be, like, receiving end of all those fucked up people and thrive in it. And it's like...
It has to either motivate you or you have to find it funny. There has to
Yeah.
be some sort of coping mechanism.
Exactly.
Which
I think
is
it
probably
helps
not
if you-
super healthy.
No, but I also
No.
think it helps if you went to an event, got loads of Reddit criticism, and didn't get hired for another event. It might break you.
Yeah,
I'm just
for
saying,
sure.
if you continue working, it's much easier to say, "Oh, I can brush it
True.
off." Well, of course.
But I think we've all been through that. Like, I remember when I started out and I did, like, fails of the week, it was just hate for, like, a year and a half. But it actually taught me a lot, like, be a little bit less annoying. I was more annoying back then.
That's ridiculous. Don't be. No.
More annoying.
That's
I was.
impossible.
Well, I don't know.
You have changed since I've known you.
Right.
better
I
or for
toned
worse,
it
then?
down.
For better or for worse,
Yeah, just checking your opinion.
Well, it's been toned down. But let's
I
just
think
say...
he's funnier now
Yes.
than he ever has
He's more
been.
refined.
But there's
Because
a-
it's almost to the point where here's a thing you used to do,
Yeah.
and you would make a joke, you would say to someone, "Fuck you," and then you go, "I'm just kidding," like that.
Yeah.
Whereas now you just say, "Fuck you,"
Yeah.
And then you walk out the door.
and it's like you got the laugh and you left. And I
I'm
thought
a
that
poor
that is
child.
PyrionFlax.
Yeah.
I love that.
But those negative things, even though they suck and they're super toxic and they're, you know, they still kind of mold us to be a little bit... Obviously, we've annoyed that person so much that they took time out of their day. But it's not something to live your life by. But still, it's
Yeah, yeah.
you know...
It is weird to think that someone's watching. Oh my god! Get their phone out and get the
Yeah,
app
yeah.
open and log in.
I mean,
yeah.
I
I'll start a
always think
thread.
about
Yeah.
this. Like, have you ever, like, commented in Reddit threads?
Like
Yes.
only if it's
Ever, like,
specifically
complained
about
about
me, or
Like,
if
that
it's
was
a,
not Dota.
if it's a really nerdy game.
Oh, only
Yeah.
Dota.
If it's
Oh,
a very
the bitch.
niche subject and I actually do know an answer, I'll sometimes comment.
Yeah.
Never otherwise.
I mean, I bitch about updates and shit. Like, I bitch to Valve. I'm one of those guys that's like,
Yeah.
oh, you fucking ruin techies and that's it. Like, I am that guy. So I get it, but I don't know. I mean, yeah. I mean, I used to work in the restaurant industry, right? And they had this thing where they would, like, the people that took the time to write the negative reviews, they would always reward people for getting positive reviews. Like restaurants that got positive reviews, oh my god, you get all this stuff. Turns out the worst restaurants got positive reviews because they were so used to having shit service that they were like, oh my god, this is actually surprising. And what kind of sane person would be like, I had a wonderful dinner, yahoo! Like that, no one got time for that.
Yeah.
But if you're pissed off, you're like, this was terrible steak, and that's kind of how it is. I think most people are genuinely happy. Most people are genuinely like, oh, that was a great show, but they're not a fucking psycho. They're not going to be like, that was a wonderful time. Like, who was that?
Do you know what the best example that I could give for the fact that honestly the Reddit community might be completely different from our expectations or our impression of
Sure.
it, right? Is that this was way back before TI3. Me and Cyborg Matt and a couple of other guys did an event in London, which was for like the playoff games.
Yeah.
Like the last few qualifier games to get there. And it was in a pub. We hired out a pub. We got like a projector and a laptop and all that. I posted on Reddit that we were going to be doing this, and it got like 3 replies. And I was like, oh my god, this is... We've rented out the pub. I said to the guy, it's going to be really full. And they had, when we did the event, their best Sunday ever.
Oh.
Like, people couldn't fit in
I'm
the
so
pub.
worried for the story.
They couldn't fit in. They were in the corridor. They were like hanging out. It was fucking ridiculous. Like the windows were getting sweaty. There were so many people in there. And I was like, oh shit, I better come up with some something to do because it was like quite a big delay to get it set up. So we went and got some plasticine, and I had this competition where people had to plasticine model Dota heroes like on their tables, and some guy did a bristleback. He put a pork scratching, a really hairy pork scratch, like a pork rind in his back and stuff like that. And I was talking to these guys, how did you know about this event? And they were like, oh, I saw the Reddit post. I was like, you didn't say anything. They're like, oh, I'm a lurker, mate. I never play.
Yeah.
And it's like 99% of the people who'd seen the thread
Yeah.
were like, oh, I'm fucking going to that. And 3 had gone, yes, I'll be attending. So it's like, people just learn.
Everybody that I've met at LAN ever has been great.
Yeah.
Even the people that I've literally had like actual online beef with.
Yeah.
That like there was a player called Venom that once came up, took a picture with me. This guy is known griefer in North America. He would feed down mid, ruin my games all the time. He went, we took a picture, and then he started walking away. He was like, "Oh, by the way, it's Venom." And then he just kept walking. It was so funny. It was so funny.
God damn, that's fucked up.
You get people at events coming up and being like, oh, I don't like your stuff, but I've got to say, I'm a big fan. You're like, what? Like, they mean comments and stuff, but they want a picture or an autograph. It is weird.
Yeah. Dota does do that to you, though.
It does.
It's like such a competitive game that like you do kind of get angry for no reason.
That's true.
Managing that is like the hardest thing. There are a lot of people who don't
the
manage
anger of Dota, or
yeah, like so if you lose 3-4 games in a row and you stop playing, you naturally are going to be sitting there disgruntled, right?
Jeez, that's just Wednesday.
Yeah,
exactly. But then that carries over as well, right? Like if you lose 4 games in a row, you load up the stream, then you have Slack screaming at you about like some miracle interview. You might then be like, Flex, and
you're talking about the viewers.
Yeah,
they're playing Dota and they watch the stream.
Exactly. Like, it all carries over, it all connects.
Maybe.
Yeah, I've never met somebody at an event that griefed me, but a lot of people have. It's been like 2 years. I think that we've all gotten a little angrier since COVID. We haven't been able to like take that out.
Is that you or me?
Yeah. So I don't know. I haven't met a griefer yet.
I might have
I'm worried what I would do. If a guy was like, yo, remember that game where I last picked Pudge and ranked and went into the safe lane and died 15 times? I might punch him in the fucking face. Like, I don't know. I got so mad.
I don't think you would.
I
think you would do the fuck you. You know, and you would smile and laugh and like,
do a really hard hug for one. Yeah, maybe. But anyway, question 2.
Question 2.
No, they don't give a fuck. I genuinely don't think the players give a fuck.
Oh, some of them give a fuck.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're talking from an expert perspective.
There is a player doing well at this event.
Oh, who's had a word?
That used to flame me in Reddit threads.
Wow.
Yeah, he used to be one of those Redditors saying things.
Yeah.
The players do have an issue. I think it's different for you guys who are experts, who come in to offer expertise or something like that. Is if you have a go at a draft and say, I think they're trying to do this. I mean, Loader has tweeted a whole bunch about how the casters and the experts are like don't know what they're talking about and stuff like that. So it's like it's different when you're.
I wasn't here for this.
I'm trying to
it's different when you're an expert or whatever. But from my perspective, players don't give a shit about it. Then I fucking say so. It's different.
I think there's times that players will come up and be like, oh, I like that point or something, but they never tell you if it's like properly shit to your face. But personally, I've never had a pro come and go, what you said about my techies pick on this was fucking god awful. What I've never had like negative stuff.
I don't think they watch. I don't think they watch the.
Well, I
panels.
mean, they're competing, right? They have to focus more on what they're doing.
But even if
casting
not.
is way more common.
Yeah,
than
the
they watch
casting
because
they watch.
They'll go back
That's
through.
true.
Especially, I've heard this rule a lot. Is that on losses they don't watch. On wins they will. Because it's hype. You know.
Yeah.
You get to listen to good things about you. Like on the other side of this spectrum, Spartan. He always tells me all the time, you know, like, oh man, I watched back through that game, you know, like, and he's always lovely about, you know, amping me up. He tells me how great I am all the time. It's really nice to be able to. Sometimes pro players do that.
Yeah.
Like most people would expect, normal human interaction. If you have a problem with it, you probably don't go up to that person and tell them.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of this actually waiting for the panel to end with interviews. So I'll be with a player, and you guys will say something, and they'll be able to see you and just be like, oh, that's not what happened, or wrong, or you know, stuff like that. But there's only a few, I would say, like I can count on my hand, like the amount of players that kind of have that ego, but where they're like, oh my god, this fucking guy, like they would actually message somebody, but it's not like a bad ego, right? It's like I know I'm this good, and I know I'm better than him, and I'm gonna send them a DM, but it's not like, I don't know, I don't think it's horrible.
That sounds like an NA player thing.
Right.
But you also have to remember that.
Coming back and responding. I bet it was.
No, it wasn't.
No, there's like
No.
3 EU very high captains that get very
Okay,
sensitive.
well then.
Just turning up, but no, but back to the point about the pro thing. It's like the pros are the ones that scrimming it for like 2-3 months, then come into the tournament. They know exactly what they're meant to be doing with heroes and draft.
Right.
Whilst analysts and hosts or whoever, they're watching it in a 1 hour segment, and then they have like a 5-minute panel or so to like actually break it down. So
Yeah,
it's like
tough.
the people on the panel have to try and like understand what pro teams have been doing for like 3 months practicing it. So of course we're never going to know exactly what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And you guys are only going off what you can see on the cast, which tends to focus on
Yeah.
action. Like I was,
Right.
believe it or not, this morning I was watching a replay of the last time the game Gladiators TSM played. And I was watching it back, and I was focusing on Celery, because I was like, he died like so many times in this tournament. And I was like, I want to see how he's still winning, despite, if I went 0-15, which he has done several times, I was like, God, how could you do that? What was he doing? And I was watching the game, and you would never see that in the cast. So if you're actually trying to analyze what they're doing, you would need to watch every player.
Yeah.
You'd need to go through and say, I think so, this hero was clearly important to this draft. Why? Without watching the replay, and I know that Lacoste watches a lot of replays, SVG watches a lot of replays, you watch replays. I assume you watch replays.
Thank you.
Like,
Please call
Damn,
me.
goddamn.
Oh, well, they've mentioned it. You have.
I don't gloat.
You don't like to gloat,
It's just
of course.
the job.
Yeah. So you're watching the replays, and it's like that's how you break down. This is what they're doing.
Right.
Because you can't if you just watch the game and you've got like, right, we're on in 2 minutes, and now you have to formulate in your head apparently something that has taken months for like professional players to break down. I think that's the hardest part of the analyst job.
I think when it comes to the tweets, I always kind of jump in there whenever
do.
like pro players do. I think it's because like I figure I'm a high MMR play-by-play caster, so I can jump in and be like, no, this play-by-play caster doesn't need to know the game,
Right.
Like, and I think that's. But either way, I think like good or bad feedback, it doesn't really matter too much. Like if our pro player has something like constructive, like on the strategy side to give me, of course, like I'll listen 100%. But I think otherwise, my cast isn't for them. And it
agreed.
never will be,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I like it when they like it, obviously, like it makes me feel good, but it shouldn't affect my decisions on like how I do my commentary.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you've got 150,000 viewers, say, watching a grand final, and you're casting it, will you think more than 1% of them are actually any good at Dota? Like, no, of course not. Most people are like Archon, Legendy, kind of that area. So they're like as bad as me. So if you talk about some amazing rotation at the 3rd minute, it's like, whew, still not going to do it in my pubs, you know? So yeah, I think the analysis that you guys do is just right. And I mean, I love it. The casters we've got in Dota, I think, are the best in any esport. I watched a lot of other esports. I think Dota has the best casters. I may be biased, I don't know.
No, I like it. We used to be super bland. Like, it used to be this, like, everyone shaking hands of, what a talented player. No mistakes, no mistakes. And oh my god, I hated that shit. But I feel like guys like Counter-Strike, they're so fucking toxic. I hate Counter-Strike tasks. Like, all they do is shit talk the players. We have a pretty good balance now where it's like, you could actually be critical and then not say too much. It is, who is saying the critical stuff, I think kind of sucks. Like, it typically has to be like Cap or Kyle or a TI winner or a coach that is like, has the cred, you know?
And
like,
you usually have to say, well, I don't know shit, but...
Right. I mean, the community is so like defensive of its pros. It's like, how dare Moxie say anything about Seb? Like, it's okay. It's okay to have opinions, and it makes for a more entertaining product.
Yes.
The fucking shake hands of like, oh, we just have such great players. It's so boring, dude.
The reverence.
Yeah, the reverence.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Just have a good basis, right? Like if you're having a comment on a player, at least have done the work to be able to have an informed opinion on that player, right?
Yeah.
When it's like an empty statement where you haven't really cared about the game, it's like, this guy's dog.
This guy sucks.
And it's like in reality, like you broke like 7 smoke gangs or whatever, right? But
Yeah.
it's more just as long as you have a good opinion and you've done the research, then you can be critical but not toxic.
I'd
Just
say
finding
the
line
irony
hard
is,
thing.
don't you think, that the community thinks it's well within their rights to flame the players and
Match threads
as
are scary.
much as possible,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So they're allowed to jump in and say, boo, you suck. But if the commenter says, bit of a mistake, they're like, oh, like clutching their
You
pearls.
know.
It's just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, 'cause you can flame people for fucking up. That's funny.
Sure, you need to. It's so boring, dude. But yeah, I don't know. The only times I've ever received like an actual DM is at TI. Players actually DM me and they're like, hey, not funny, dude. It makes me laugh every time. I remember one time I did I hosted something. I think it was at the last TI, and I think it was. And Puppy just sent me a DM and he said, annoying.
Who does that?
It's funny. PPD also, I like retweeted something with remember that bear thing where we like the VP bear, I bought like the polar bear thing. He was like on the screen, I retweeted it, and PPD's like, don't retweet shit like that. And I'm like, I just like the bear, and he's like, I mean, the VP is very against us, and we're playing. It's not good for our morale. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't know. I think it's funny.
Whenever I used to go live, I would tweet a stream announcement, and I quite often used animated GIFs.
Yeah.
Puppy DM me, if you don't stop posting this animated shit, I'm unfollowing.
I think it's great.
Like, I kept doing it. He obviously forgot because I think he still followed me. It's just like they think like, all right, I'm not on your team, bro. Like, I'm not on your team.
Not the whole team.
I've gotten
so
some
funny.
Seb DMs. I love Seb. I think he's fantastic and stuff. But if he's in the wrong mood, he was in Midas mode, and I would like they lost Midas mode, and he's like, I absolutely could have won this event if I fucking cared about it. And he wrote me like I'm like, okay, I know, I'm so sorry, dude, I'm so sorry. Gork is really trying hard. I'm sorry. But no, but that's very endearing to me. I'm not like this guy. I'm like, okay, this guy cares about himself.
It's kind of sweet.
It's sweet in a way that they care enough about my opinion of like what things that I did that they are willing to say how they share. Most people would be like, this fucking moron and never talk to me, so I love it.
You're their voice though, right?
Huh?
Like, there's not enough like content from players, so technically you're their voice the majority of the time. So if
Fans
you're
love anything with the players. Like even a 1 minute interview, like even in the
they're
DPC,
starved.
right?
Yeah.
But in the DPC, do you remember when the teams would do the interview? The chat was like, "Where's the interview? Where's the interview?" Even if it's just them talking about that game and what they had for lunch, people love anything from the players. They absolutely love it. But didn't you think? I always used to think that the players just turned up, played the games, they had nothing to do with the content of the community or anything around it.
Yeah.
But then they come up and say, "Oh, I really liked your vid." It's like, this guy's, what are you talking about? You're not watching. Well, like, Boxy was complaining to me about my Tarkov playing. I was like, when have you ever watched me playing Tarkov? He was like, I watch your Tarkov morning streams quite often when playing Escape from Tarkov. I was like, you're not. If I'm playing Football Manager, Crit will pop up and say, how is it? Or why don't you play so-and-so up front instead of blah, blah. And I'm like, why are you guys wasting your time on this shit? But they do. They're like everybody else. They watch content. I watch your fucking stream all the time.
But yeah, they're just gamers, man. I mean, and that's, I don't know.
But I dehumanize them.
Yeah, I
assume that they just like sat in a
robot.
glass cave, like just meditating about Dota.
Yeah.
And then they with the mages on clonk, 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 and they turn up.
I do the same thing. I just can't imagine what it's like to be them. Like to be under that stress and pressure. And
Being good at something.
And being good and loved.
Oh, to be loved.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I am very busy all year round, genuinely. Okay, this idea that I disappear into the night, just because you only watch one fucking thing, does not mean that I'm just sat at home like the robot in the blog, covered in cobwebs. It was like the phone rings.
Oh, here comes Gabe, showing up for the TI paycheck again.
Money.
It's Gabe, we need you for TI. I'll be there, Mr. New. And I hang up and start walking my way out there. It's just, I'm sorry. I don't get invited to every Dota event. I used to do like 2 or 3, maybe sometimes 4 a year, but at the moment we've had COVID, so that's affected us all, I think, when it comes to events. But I did a week of DPC, I'm doing this, I'm doing another week of DPC. If something else comes up, I'll do that, but I can't make myself be invited to events, unfortunately. But also, to be fair, I have had to turn down a lot over the years, because I think Slacks has a young baby.
Yes.
But most of the other talent does not.
Mm-hmm.
And having young kids and being a stay-at-home parent means that you can't just say, I'm going to wherever for 2 weeks.
Yeah, they usually invite you a week before something.
That was the way it used to be. That was the one thing I'm actually quite proud of, is that orgs got into this habit of literally, and this is no exaggeration, you guys will be aware of this, a week or two before the event.
Yep.
We need you in Malta.
Yeah.
And it's like,
You going to Manila? Who
yeah,
the fuck?
exactly. And it was like, this is impossible. Some
Right.
of us have a life outside of Dota, and you just have to turn down all these events. And eventually they're like, oh, I'm going to stop asking. Because
Yeah.
they always turn us down. They obviously don't want to do it. I'm going to stop asking. But it's like, no, you gave me a week's notice to be away for 2 weeks. So I actually made a post on Reddit calling out the orgs and saying, can you please fucking stop this? And it got a lot of responses, and a lot of people saying, yes, this seems fair enough. And I got quite a few of the orgs DMing me and saying sorry and stuff like that. We didn't know. I'm like, it's not a personal thing.
Yeah.
You just need to give us a month. A month would be nice. So now I think people get a lot more notice, so you can plan out your year a lot better. But I don't disappear into the night. I am busy with other things. These are not a bonus. This is like my main thing that I enjoy doing outside of streaming is coming to events. And I play Dota like every day. I don't follow the pro scene as closely as most people do that work the event because I'm busy streaming or watching TV or cooking dinner or looking after my fucking kids or doing the laundry.
My baby,
Fucking Reddit.
yeah, my child suffers from the same thing. It's called object permanence. If I go peekaboo, and then he goes, "Where are you?" And it's the same thing. So you might want to get that checked out.
Just why the fuck is this grumpy old bastard there?
What's he done?
He didn't deserve his place here. He hasn't been at the coalface mining Dota jobs on the living earth. Oh, I've hit a nugget here. It's a major. Oh. For a long time, it was Dakota. Every event. I can't believe Pyrion's there and not Cowl Guy. And to be fair, I did feel.
Guys work so hard.
Yeah. He was like, we're doing completely different things. Like, that was the thing.
That is my favorite. I love that
They
one.
compare like the host to an analyst or a
Yeah, it's
play-by-play to
Oh,
an interviewer.
that's so fucking funny, dude. That is my favorite one. Oh my god.
Can you expand into that?
Oh, just like talent invites they always suck. I mean, I always think that like getting new talent not only is good for the production of the show, but it's also good for Dota in general. Having the same guys do it over and over again, it's just stalemates. Everybody, we don't want to talk to each other that much anymore. We've been talking to each other for like 4 months. We have nothing else to talk about. We're fucking tapped. So new talent is fantastic to get into the scene and get up, but sometimes a new talent will be rising. They'll miss an event, like our boy B-Cop out there, and they'll be like, why the fuck is Frankie working and not B-Cop? You want fucking Frankie to cast? Like, she can't do it. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't like that. Like, people rising up in a job that they're really, really good at, but it's just hyper competitive. It sucks for everybody, but it's so difficult, and it cracks me up, dude. Like the T.I. Sumi stuff. Like, there's no reason Sumi should be there instead of, like, a pro player. I'm like, I don't think you want a pro player hosting the panel, guys. That's not a good idea, guys. But anyway, I mean, it's just
I think that the
tough.
biggest problem the community has is understanding that if you're putting together a broadcast, any kind of production, it's not like qualifying for TI.
Yeah.
You don't have a DPC points for. You don't work an event and that equals so many points to get to TI.
That's what many people want is DPC points
For
talent.
talent.
Yeah,
talent.
I've seen those.
But why would you want that? Then you're just going to see the same guys over and over again.
Whoever
stacking.
works 12 weeks of DPC season, they're an automatic qualifier. It's like, well, the thing is,
rough.
if you're putting together anything, like it would be like saying if you're putting together a movie.
Yeah.
If you were making a movie,
Yeah.
you wouldn't just go and get the 7 people who had been in the most movies in the last 12 months
Let's
to
tell
make
that
your
to
movie.
Netflix.
Hey!
No.
But you wouldn't. You would say, who is the best for this role and who do we want to get? Let's get this person, let's get that person. I think that's a good balance.
Sure.
That's it. It's not like you don't qualify for it in the same way. You have to be qualified, but you don't have to qualify, I think is the best way I could put it.
My favorite part is we keep on making the same point about these roles aren't the same.
That's the other thing.
And the Reddit community has been the same. Like, how many new people to the Reddit community? Like, how many people just started watching Dota in the last, like, year? I bet it's a very low percentage.
SVG
You've
was
been
saying
around
it's not
for a
bad,
few
but-
years.
Yeah, he said
Oh, if you're
COVID
not
was
picked up
good.
on this fact.
Yeah.
COVID actually boosted the numbers a bit in terms of new players. That was what SVG
I don't
was telling
blame
me.
them though. They're dumb. I remember when I first went to Reddit. I read about this guy called Cyborg Matt,
Oh yeah.
and I sent them a DM on Reddit, Cyborg Matt, and I said, "Hey, I've been doing my research, and I'm pretty sure you're this ice frog guy." That was the first DM I ever sent, and he's like, "Who the fuck?" So, I mean,
And he responded?
Well, yeah, he did respond,
that's
but
nice.
you know they're casual viewers. You know, they pop in, they say one event, maybe.
I
It's
don't think
the-
they're casual viewers
Some
if they're
of them.
writing in
If
the
they know
subreddit.
all the talent and writing in the subreddit, I think these are the
If-
hard
if-
It's
I feel like if
2022.
you're
It's the Zoomers. Everybody needs to have their opinion out there, even if they have no idea what they're talking about. And I respect that. Let them
I
write it out.
respect that.
I
But
respect it.
honestly, if
It's
you
an
think
old
about
man's
it,
podcast.
they want new talent. They love new talent.
Yeah.
But then they also say, where is so-and-so? Like, it's like,
True.
if you imagine, like you were saying, if you've just worked, like if you look at Owen and Sheeps, right? And Cap, and people like you,
Yeah.
work every single event. I am sick to fucking death of you guys by
Sure.
the time TI rolls around. I don't want to talk to any of you. I don't want to look at any of you.
Right. Your point?
I'm just kidding.
No point.
No, but I mean, especially in TI in general, because I think a lot of Dota fans don't realize how essential TI is to the survival of Dota 2.
For
It's
real.
our one chance in the entire year where people that don't play Dota watch Dota. Like, it's our one chance to get to other communities. So they're like, why are these new people here? Why are they doing this? It's because we need to appeal to other communities in order to show them that we have a cool game. Like, I would love, as a Dota fan, a grand finals panel with Seb, No Tail, like all TI winners talking about it. It would be fucking unwatchable to anybody that's not a Dota fan. They have no idea what they're talking about. And having like people that are fresh and new and maybe even aren't part of our scene be brought in for the one opportunity that we have to grow that scene is so essential. And it's, I get it. As a hardcore Dota fan, I get it. But there has to be a balance. And that balance is extremely hard to keep up. Also, when you look at it from a tournament organizer's perspective, like, why take a risk? Risks are hard. I've been working with this capitalist guy for 3 years. He fucking nails everything. I don't want some guy coming in here and shit in the bed and then I get complaint threads.
Good.
So, yeah.
Keep hiring.
Well, I'm just saying, like, it's all this balance that's a really, really hard act to do. And sometimes people, again, I love complaints. I love it. If you love a talent, if you really do, complimenting them is great for their ego, but complaining when they don't get hired is how they get hired.
Yeah.
That is the number one thing you can do
Number
to
one.
promote a talent. If you really love somebody, say, I want to see this guy at an event, because that is so good for tournament organizers to be like, oh, we get a win, we get to hire this new guy. It's so good for the community. It's great for us because we get to talk to new people. So it is a super win-win.
I agree with that with one caveat.
Sure.
Don't do that by complaining that someone else was invited.
Well, that's
Why
impossible.
Not this guy?
No, I'm kidding. Yeah,
Like,
that's
just
the
say-
golden nugget. Is just being like, I love this guy.
I would love to see so and so on a panel.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah.
You don't have to say,
No.
fire this
Get
fucking
this
loser.
fucking idiot
Yeah.
out of there, which is what happens.
Yeah, it's tough. But, I mean, I think talent are all happy with that as well. Working many events, it ain't good for you either. Because it's like, that's your spiel, and it's getting old. So not everyone can work everything. Thank God Dota has so many events. Yeah, if you want to be productive and positive, say you love people without shitting on other people, and that is the best thing you can do for them. And watch their streams and subscribe and follow. Okay. But yeah, I don't know.
Do you guys all think that Dota is still growing?
No, of course it's not, is it? I mean, that's just a fact. You look at the numbers.
Do you think it will be growing?
No.
Do you think
I think it goes through fluctuation.
Yes.
It does go up and down, but if you look, it's the thing with Dota is there are new players that come in, for sure, but not in like what would make Dota surge. Like what would give Dota 1 million new players? Wouldn't be profile, because we've had some of the highest profile esports events for 10 years.
True.
It wouldn't be some big advertising campaign, because as soon as people see what the game is like, they're going to be like, oh my god, that looks impossible.
Yeah.
And most people I talk to look at Dota and they say, it looks great, I love watching it, but I tried playing it and it was impossible. It was so hard.
Yeah.
And the response to that is that there are some people, like all of us in this room and everybody here, nothing else satisfies you once you've got into Dota. You play other games, and they're fun and everything, and even they might be complicated, but when you are into Dota, you are into Dota.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have growth. What we have is a huge block of Dota players that are going to live forever, and this is our game. And you're going to get Dota 3 someday or whatever, and that'll bring in some new players, but there will always be that hardcore that are just persistent, because there's nothing else like it.
do you think that's healthy though? For like in 5 years time, 10 years time?
What do you
compared
want?
to
It's
healthy
the only
Dota?
way to
There's
I mean,
nothing else.
whenever people ask me about this, like they're like, "Oh, do you think like Dota could like grow again?" It's like some nostalgic, like they remember back in like TI3, TI4, where they were like, oh, I'm part of something new and growing and stuff like that, and they build their identity around Dota, so they want it to be successful. They want their thing to be successful. And I'm just like, okay, do you think StarCraft 2 is gonna get a resurgence anytime soon? Like, look at Dota the same way you look at like StarCraft 2. You know, like there is a hardcore base. It's not your game. You don't necessarily like. You're not a big fan of it, but like there are people who are, and they love that game, and they're gonna keep watching that game, and it keeps on chugging along. And I think Dota is a bigger example of that because the biggest part. Like it reached much higher highs than StarCraft did, but we're going to be very, very much similar in the fact that we're a hardcore game that is just going to keep chugging along because, you know, people who fell in love with the game are still in love with the game.
What about like new regions? Like if it explodes, if the SA scene gets bigger, that would be how I would see an influx of players.
Sure.
If that becomes
I
more
actually
popular
think like
across
India is actually a Middle East.
India, the Middle East.
It's the next kind of region.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
like South Africa as well. Actually has a pretty decent scene, but again, it's just
I think that would be the player growth numbers. Would be the game literally teams from those regions excel, and I mean if you have a South America TI winner and that's a big story, I'm sure they'd be talking about it in the press in South America. Team from Peru won, it would be like a big deal.
Yeah.
That would be how you would grow.
I mean, that's what happened at TI3, right? With Alliance and shit like
Right.
that. Like, it would literally, their win made an epicenter of new Dota players. But, I don't know, I pretty much agree with you guys. I think that Dota's a gateway drug. You have to know someone that's doing it, and they drag you in, and then you guys, like, are in the crack house together. So, I think that there are strategies that could get, maybe not new players, but at least, like, fair-weather players back.
it's like
I
patch
think
dependent, right? I
I
feel like
think
buying
custom
patches bring
games
people.
is something that
True.
Dota, the Valve team, really, really undervalues. Like shit like Agnum's Labyrinth is a fantastic gateway drug into Dota because it's this no pressure, you're just learning heroes and having fun. It's so good, and I don't know why it's not just like a permanent mode that people can come into. Any kind of like those custom game modes that bring people in and teach them about the hero spells and get them that hunger to be like, okay, I actually do want to play against other people. I mean, that's the only way really to do it. So it's tough though, because when you make a custom game like Auto Chess, that becomes its own game. That's how Dota started.
Yeah.
So are they Dota players or are they Dota Auto Chess players that open up the client? Doesn't really matter to me. I mean, there's people in the client, they get interested in it. So I'd say that is probably the future of Dota, and where we could actually accelerate is by having approachable, fun custom games that use the same heroes.
So you're saying we can get people into Dota as long as they don't play Dota
I
on
think-
their way in the door.
I think so.
'Cause if they go
They
face
open
first
up the
into
client
Dota.
to play something else, but still, eventually they're like, well, I might as well play the main game, right?
Yeah.
And that's a winning strategy for older games. It really is. Like TF2 did like man versus machine free stuff, and then it's like a safe place, and that's what Dota's always needed. Their new player experience is god awful. Smurf nightmare. No one's gonna Smurf Agnum's Labyrinth, right? I mean, it's a.
Do you know what one thing that I do, and this is not me tooting my own horn or anything like
Sure.
that. I have a lot of new players come into my Discord to play Dota, because we do the in-houses on the Tuesday where it's just noobs against noobs.
Yeah.
And there's no smurfing, there's no toxicity,
Yeah.
and people get the chance to fall in love with the game. If you go in and solo queue in Dota, brand new player,
Oh,
what a miserable
it's
experience.
awful.
And it's the nature of the game. You'd have to say, if you could just persist for 1,000 hours, you'll get to the point where you'll know enough about the game to maybe people won't scream at you from minute one. It's a tall order.
I'll tell you what, Valve, if you're listening, watching this, you want to know how to get new players? $1 million new player only tournament.
How are you going to decide the new players?
Well, you got to screen
You haven't
them.
thought this out at all.
You got to screen them. They got to have webcams on the whole time. If we find
What
out
if they
that you
look
Smurf,
like a noob?
if you Smurf, you're killed.
What the Valve could do is they could take the Blizzard approach and
Kill
swap
'em?
the daytime, nighttime features
Sexually
and introduce
harass
one
them?
new
I don't know
hero
if
and
that's gonna
then
work.
go ahead and call it Dota 3.
Smart. They can Overwatch 2 this bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
They can have
You know?
one new hero.
Yeah.
But tease it for
Just
a
a patch,
long
but
time.
call it
Yeah.
Dota 3 and then, market it a bunch. and
That's
go.
that's hype, dude.
That's
Hell
great.
yeah. They could make a. I won't say anything. Yeah, but no. Is Dota gonna grow? Maybe not. But I don't think, as Pyrion said, Dota dies when its players die. In 90 years, Dota won't exist because all of us will be dead. most likely.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I do a lot of prep for big events, and my prep has changed over the years. Where it used to be going a lot about replays and like trying to get into the strategy of the teams, but I realized that was fucking useless. So what I've changed now is that I try a lot more to get to know the players instead of their play style. And like who they are as humans, and I look out for interviews. So I just consume like a ton of interviews before
I
TI,
think that's really good.
and I
should do
write
that.
out like quotes.
Yeah.
So anytime they say anything about a matchup or something like that, or about their team or anything like that, I try and work it into the broadcast.
That's really
because
good.
I think that's the biggest trial, biggest problem with Dota players is that they're Dota players and they don't want to do anything else but play Dota, right? So they don't put themselves out there, so we don't get to know them. So I think that's one of the most important part of our job is to try and tell their story to the audience
That's really good.
wherever you can.
Because that's where the big crossover. The Chinese scene used to be like this wall between us and
Yeah.
them, where it was like we don't know their memes. They seem like they don't seem like anything other than robots. They turn up, they play Dota, they do really well, and then they leave.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until Jack
Yeah.
got on here and started giving us the oh, these guys are hilarious.
Yeah.
They've got as many memes as us. You know,
If
of
not
course,
more,
of
yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they? But we just were so unaware of them. So yeah, I think that's really interesting. A new region, I think, is so much potential because the way they see the game is so different. Their humor is so different, but often it's absolutely hilarious. That it's like what you can dig into this whole new mine of this community. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, my favorite are the comics. That comic artist guy who draws like the web comics
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the memes from China. Like that's one of my favorite
So good.
pieces. Yeah,
So good.
Those are amazing.
I think my prep's more basic in regards to just look at the drafts, because obviously I'm more panel analyst drafting stuff. So looking at the drafts and watching highlights of other regions. There's so many games you can't expect to watch every single replay from every single game. So if you know that you're covering certain teams, you're covering their highlights, watching specific replays if cool things happen, but yeah, just kind of understanding the team so that when you get on broadcast, you're not just going, oh, well, I watch Western Europe and I know that they do this. This is a surprise to me, you know, because you have to respect the region and not always just relate it to the Western audience, because it's their own region, it's their own identity. And it's insulting kind of to be like, oh, I'm watching Fnatic today, but they play like Nigma. It's like, no, you got to give them their own identity, their own kind of brand. So putting in the time really is it.
I think one of the things that like why I found watching replays useless, specifically for TI, is that don't you feel like that prep in some ways is like so much of it goes out the window because the TI meta and the way team like there's this like dark period where like teams are scrimming and stuff like that leading up to TI and we know nothing about it. And so they're one team here and then by the time they show up to TI and they play official matches, they're an entirely different team. But it's like all that fucking prep just goes out the window.
That's why I think whenever anybody talks about this, always makes me laugh. Every season there'll be a team that's doing really well. These guys are the best. They're definitely going to win TI. They're going to go deep TI, and they never do.
Yeah.
They never ever do. It's super rare, and it's because, like you said, it's like 11 months of Dota, 1 month with no Dota, TI, and at the end of that month, they're completely different. So yeah, I think you're right. Whereas they won't change as people. So finding out those stories about them is far more interesting and of value, I think. And just cast the fucking game, just cast the fucking victories. Who cares?
True.
That's the bit that people care about.
I don't prep. In any way.
He does.
That's not true. He does prep actually. I've seen him prep. He
He
prepares.
is one of the hardest working
Shut
people
up!
in Dota. I'm going to
Not
say
true.
He does, but specifically, what's really funny is when he does a game outside of Dota, he learns nothing about the game, nothing about the teams or the players, but he learns their memes.
Don't tell people
He learns their memes.
Don't tell people this! Ah!
Once somebody starts repeating your memes, then you're like, oh, he's
they
one of
know.
us.
One of
us! Ah, shit! It's true.
That's funny, dude.
It's true. Yeah, that is most of the prep that I do now is I look at South American memes and Chinese memes and Southeast Asian memes. I mean,
I think it's incredibly smart.
That's how you know.
Yeah.
God, pathetic.
I think it's really good.
Well, thank you, Cap. Nick!
We'll do one more.
Can't believe you gave my secret.
We'll do one more.
Find their memes.
I mean, I was talking about other games.
Yeah,
I didn't
Mobile
expect
Legend
you
Bang
to
Bang
actually
memes.
out
Have
yourself.
to be slacks. One easy step. Memes.
The Baldies.
The Baldies.
Well,
That's
this
what
had better
they
be
said.
one hell of a question.
Ted, you tell me what you told me when I had this exact question to you the other day.
Didn't I just tell you to nut up and deal with it?
Kinda, you said it's your own journey and that you have to walk the path.
Yeah, I ain't gonna help you.
Yeah.
All right, this is the thing. Every man and some women, but I'm going to address men because that's what I know. Every man goes bald in his own way. You cannot be led along this path, young one. You must walk it yourself and leave behind you a trail of hair as you go. And at the end, you emerge a slightly different person, but no one can tell you who that is. You must be your own bald man, and that's it. Fucking suck it up, you fucking egghead.
Jesus Christ.
Thank you, Ted.
Dark. I'll do a nice version here. You know, a lot of guys, they care. They care a lot. And if you care that much and you want to get the toupee, you want to get the hair plugs, you can do that. That's okay. If that's...
But you're not going to be a member of the Bald Boys
No,
studio.
you won't. You won't be invited. But if that's what you need to do, that's okay. Because some people really care that much. But there comes a point in your life called self-actualization. It's the highest on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That's a pyramid. At the bottom, it has like food, shelter.
No, at the bottom, there's bald people.
No, not yet. Food, shelter, etc., etc. You move up on needs of a human being, and eventually you'll reach the apex, the top. And on the tippity top, it's called self-actualization, and that means not giving a shit anymore. I know who I am.
That is definitely not.
I don't give a fuck what other people think about. I am self-actualized. This is me. So I don't know. I could tell you as a new member of the Bald Boys Studios, just fucking deal with it. Do what you have to do, but I'm a free man now. No more will I be shackled. I've shaved all my hair off.
Do you think you can't achieve the top of the pyramid, that self-actualization, if you don't embrace
The
your bald-
baldness?
Yeah.
I think you... I
It'll
think
be
you
an
have to.
anchor.
Yeah.
You have to
clean
get the
on.
plugs, you got to get the hair, or you got to go bald. You have to get in that ugly spot where you're just like, I literally don't give a shit what people think anymore, and that's when you're truly free of society's nightmares.
It's true.
That's when you can
It's
finally become
true.
immortal.
Who knew going bald was so deep and philosophical? My goodness.
Yeah, it's true.
Changing
Well,
your
Also,
You
it
recently
sounds
became
slightly
bald.
traumatic. from Ted's experience.
changes everything about you. People use you as a fucking landmark from that point on.
Yeah.
Where's the vending machine over there next to that bald guy? It's like, you
Very
know,
fucked up.
that's it. It's no good. And people are like, what am I known for? Being bald
And angry.
is one of them, right? I get
So
sent
angry.
pictures of every single bald person that people see.
It's true.
It's you. He's bald. He's bald. You're bald. He's bald. I thought it was you. Literally.
I will say, once you get bald, you have the ability to curse it to other people, and he does it every time. Every time he does it, he does the incantation, and suddenly hair starts falling out. So be careful. Don't fuck with this guy. He's a shaman.
That's actually a story in the Bible.
It is.
Yes, the kid's calling one of the
Go up,
prophets.
thou bald head.
Yes, old
Go
bald
up, thou
head.
bald head.
And then he sucked bears on them, and the
Yeah.
God
bears killed all the kids.
Two she-bears on him, and they
Yes.
killed like 64 of their number.
Yeah, so don't
Don't
fuck
fuck
with bald
me,
people.
and don't fuck with God when it comes to boys.
Yeah.
Right? That's all I'm saying.
God is bald. Thank you for watching.
Oh, Cap, have you ever had that question
There we
before?
go. Has
No,
anyone
this is
ever
the
asked
first.
that?
Okay, so the short and sweet of it is, in some ways, kind of like what Ted was talking about. I can't teach you to be a play-by-play caster because I think you'll just try and be like me or be like somebody else. I think you shouldn't necessarily listen to Dota casters. I do not listen to a whole lot of Dota casters. I listen to other sports commentators and other esports commentators, but I don't listen to Dota casters. And I think the biggest thing is just listening to yourself and finding what, going back through replays and listening to VODs and finding the things that you say that you do like and the reactions that you have and like what you do like and what you don't like. And as long as you like your own commentary, there is going to be a group of people out there who like your commentary as well. It may not be the most, the biggest group, you may not be the most popular commentator, but I guarantee you that, every single one of these casters, when they listen back to themselves, they hate it. They hate listening to themselves, because everybody does, but there is something about their commentary that they do like. I think Owen is probably a great example of that. He just is himself, and he just, was himself and did his commentary, and I think people just enjoyed the fact that he was just so happy and just went into it fully.
He is fucking hilarious, by the way.
He's great.
Yeah.
Like, he is a genuinely... He plays the I don't know what I'm talking about cards so
Yes.
well. He's so good.
You just have that love for the game, right? Like, if you want to try and succeed in something, you need to continue loving the game. If you at any point stop enjoying it and you're just doing it for like money or a paycheck or like the fame, then you're just gonna be shit. And
Yeah.
people are gonna eventually call you out for it. So
Uh-huh.
you have to always like put in 110%. Like, even if you're not getting gigs, you still keep trying, and at some point you'll get rewarded. And if you don't, it's unfortunate. But like normally, 9 times out of 10, if you're good at it and you're passionate, it's gonna happen at some point.
Agreed.
Yeah. It's the love, and it's something that separates esports from all other form of media. Like, there's like, we don't have a Paris Hilton here who's been raised from birth to become like a superstar or whatever. It's like, you feel that genuine
Paris
passion.
Hilton.
It's true. Her parents.
What an up-to-date reference.
I'm just telling you, she's dead now.
You said that the whole
They killed
dopamine
her.
age.
What?
Yeah. Just
Oh.
now. No. No, I'm just saying, like,
Dog.
if you want to be a caster, the best advice, as Cap said, is to enjoy what you do. Do it for fun. Do it for like a 5-man lobby. Just keep doing it, because get ready. Because if it works, that's all you're doing. And I think that's something that a lot of people underestimate in the world of esports, especially, is they're like, oh, I think this is a place where I can get in, and this is going to be good for me, and I can squeeze in. The worst thing you can do is actually do that if you don't like doing it. If you're stuck being a fucking interviewer talking to pro players that you just detest, and you'll do that for the rest of your life. No, but no, jokes aside though, esports lives on passion. It lives on being genuine, and it lives on you being yourself. And if you're ever trying to be someone else, if you think like, oh, this is a good casting voice, and I will be this guy, you don't want to do that. You got to be yourself. You got to have love for it, and you got to do it even if no one was watching. That's the thing that you would do if nobody was watching.
And I would
That's
say,
it.
if you tried and you were yourself and you were passionate but nobody liked it, just find something else to do.
Yeah, it's not for you.
That's
Because,
enough.
I mean, you don't want to change who you are. If you change who you are to fit other people and become that guy, you can adjust who you are. But, if I was like, okay, this comedy thing isn't working, I'm going to be an analyst, I'd be fucking miserable for the rest of my life, even if I was successful. I mean, if I was rich, maybe I wouldn't be miserable. But, I don't know. You don't want to get
I
stuck.
get where you're going.
I think the long broadcast hours really play to that. The fact that
Yeah.
you're on screen all the time, like
You
you're
can't
gonna slip
pretend,
up. You
right?
can't
Yeah,
put
yeah.
on like a facade,
Yeah.
Like you have to be yourself, because you can't be on screen for hours on hours on hours.
Agreed.
And put on a front.
Yeah. It's that old SFM guy, in Dota. There used to be this really famous SFM guy, Swords. He made the most quality SFMs. Like, everyone was like, this guy's so good. And he quit one day, and he said, you want to know why? 'Cause I just wanted to make fart jokes and memes. And I made one really good SFM, and everyone's like, this is the god of SFM. And I had to keep making those, and I hated them. I miss you, Swords. I hope wherever you are, you're making some kind of SFM porn and fart and shit. God bless you, buddy. I hope you're still out there, Swords.